This video will cover the topic, factoring out a binomial from a polynomial, GCF Factoring, Basic. For this topic, we'll be using the distributive property. The distributive property involves multiplying an expression into a set of two or more expressions enclosed into a parentheses.
How does the distributive property relate to the problems that we are trying to solve?
Great question! We can use the distributive property to factor out an expression if two or more expressions share that expression. This is known as the greatest common factor factoring, since we are going to factor out the common factor that each expression shares. An example of this would be AC minus BC. Looking at our problem, we notice that both expressions A and B contain a C attached to them. Since both terms contain a C in them, we can factor out the C, since it is the greatest common factor, by using the distributive property, which results in C times A minus B.
I'm starting to understand the concept of the distributive property, but could you do an example from the topic?
Of course, let's take a look at our example problem, 2x times x plus 8 minus 5 times x plus 8. In this problem, we will need to factor out a binomial from our polynomial. We can achieve this by using the distributive property, except we substitute x plus 8 for c. We then factor out our greatest common factor, x plus 8. After that, we combine the two expressions, which results in our final answer of x plus 8 times 2x minus 5.
What would happen if there was not an expression in front of the polynomial?
Great question! If there is no binomial present in front of the polynomial, then the integer left will be 1. For example, if we look at the problem 4x times 5x minus 3 minus 5x minus 3, we see that we can factor out 5x minus 3 from the polynomial using the distributive property, which results in our final answer of 5x minus 3 times 4x minus 1.
I think I'm starting to understand the topic, but let me summarize just to make sure. First, we check to see what each expression has in common with each other. Once we find the expression that is being shared, we then factor out the expression from our problem and then simplify our problem.
Great job! It seems that you understand how to factor out a binomial from a polynomial using greatest common factor factoring.